Hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Olivia. Um, Something that I wanted to talk about today is something that I've gone through. I see people go through even now, and something that, just a lot of people go through is this internal battle that happens in your mind and in emotions. Is I feel like one of man's greatest questions is a three-letter word is why. Why this? Why? Just why? Why me? Why is this happening to me? And I feel like if you're constantly asking yourself, why is this happening to me? The mind replays what the heart can't forget. And the heart is trying to figure out what it did to be deserving of this. Why am I deserving of this? Why is this happening to me? And I think, me personally, I think understanding why is a trauma response. Because trying to understand someone else's bad actions, bad behavior, do you not realize that in order for you to understand someone else's bad actions and behaviors, you are going to have to go as low as them, as low as they are? You are going to have to understand that bottom of the barrel behavior. You're going to have to go low, just low. And you don't understand it because you cannot conceptualize you going that low. And I feel like sometimes trying to find the answer to the why is what will torture you the most. It will warp your reality, it will warp your mental and your emotional state. It will, honestly, when people experience trauma and when people experience pain, especially when they feel as though, they know they didn't deserve it and they know that they wouldn't do the same to them, to that, wherever your trauma came from, I feel like trauma can really send you into psychosis, to just, you mentally just are not there. And I feel like I said, trying to figure out that three-letter word, that why, will drive you insane. It will drive you insane. And one of the things that you are just going to have to do, one of the things that I had to do, is you are going to have to accept people for who they are. You are going to have to mentally conceptualize that what they are doing is who they are and let it go. Trying to understand people that hurt people, trying to understand toxic, manipulative, abusers, abusive people, people that find joy in hurting other people, whether it be, like I said, I made that video about talking about bottom of the barrel. People who enjoy activities like that are so just, woo, down there. Trying to understand that, I feel like it's a trauma response. That why. You do not get closure from people who like hurting people. You do not get closure, well, most of the time. You are not going to get closure from someone who likes being abusive, especially if they have countless victims, especially if they have a pattern recognition, or recognizing a pattern that they do this over and over and over and over and over again, having countless victims. you're it's very I feel like it's very rare you're going to get closure from people who like operating like that. And this lack of closure will haunt you. You will This lack of, like I said, this lack of closure will haunt you. What is it? And it will cause sadness, it will cause depression, it will cause, I wouldn't be surprised, it will cause you psychosis. You'll, losing yourself mentally and emotionally, because you realize that there's no change and there's no solution to the actions. Not even a solution, there's just no accountability overall. So I feel like you keep replaying this bad stuff that's happened to you mentally, and you're trying to figure out what it is that you did to deserve it. Honestly, you just need to let it go. And I'm not saying that for you to be, like I made a video about this before. I'm not saying this for you to be the bigger person, because I feel like you need to stop being the bigger person. You need to start being an honest person. Because I feel like when people say be the bigger person, they're just telling you to swallow whatever is hurting you for you to suffer internally. But I want you to understand that continuing this process of this understanding why, you need to, ask yourself this question. What happened? What are you going to do if you never get the closure that you are expecting or that you're seeking? You're going to continue to be in this cycle of driving yourself crazy, this understanding the why. At some point, you're going to have to walk forward. And I just hope anyone that has gone through pain, anyone that has gone through trauma, anyone who has been in relationships with abusive people, I hope you just heal. I hope you heal so deeply that you no longer feel the need to answer the question of the why. You no longer feel the need to make sense of what happened. You no longer feel the need to piece together the pieces of the puzzle and get your answer, get your questions answered, because you may never get your questions answered. And you're going to have, at least for me personally, having to move past it. And what was I going to say? You're trying to figure out what it is that you did to deserve it. And me personally, I had to stop. You trying to explain it, and it doesn't make sense. 2 plus 2 isn't equaling 4, it's equaling 5. And you don't get closure from just this mental battle that you put yourself through of understanding the why. What is it? Someone said it's grief just bargaining for a better story, just bargaining for a better conclusion, bargaining for a better ending. And like I said, what happens if the accountability never comes? What happens if the apology never comes? Because let's be real, a lot of people ain't sorry. I'm gonna be honest, there's just a lot of people that find joy from beating someone down and breaking them just till you're nothing. And it's very hard for you to find, at least for me, it's hard for you to find closure from people who would like doing it over and over and over again. Not only that, have countless victims that they have done this over and over and over again. And waiting for that closure is just stalling your peace and your healing. Something that you're going to have to do is stop waiting for an apology, stop waiting for accountability, an excuse. People like to use, honestly, sometimes people apologize just to as a get out of free jail card to continue the abuse. And waiting for that closure is just stalling your peace and your healing. Closure is choosing to move on regardless of what happened, regardless of just, like I said, just you're grieving because you're bargaining for a better ending to a story. But at some point you're going to have to move on. You're bargaining for a better ending than what you got, and that may not happen. And you can definitely heal without closure. I've done it. You can definitely do it. Move on with your life. Even realizing even in the pain, there's a purpose in the pain. What is this teaching me? This taught me something, because it's a learning lesson. And even closure is even acceptance for what it is. For what it is, for what happened, what it taught you, how you can move on with your life, and what your experiences can be a source of encouragement for someone else going through the exact same thing. How someone feels like, okay, if they're going through it, they have an out. I feel like I'm the only one going through this. Now I realize I'm not. And just even flipping that negativity, flipping the pain, and flipping it into purpose. And me personally, I stopped. I don't do closure conversations for me because I feel like, at least for me personally, I feel like they're pointless because I don't want the people like to, what is it? There's a word I'm thinking of. People like to you want to have those closure conversations with people. People like to flip the script and become the victim. They like to weaponize the tears. I don't want to see the tears. They like to cry to avoid accountability, avoid what you're saying because when you cry, sometimes when you're crying it's invoking empathy and people know that. So that's why they start crying. Me, I feel like you just need to well, for me personally, I didn't want the closure conversations because I realized that the actions provided all the clarity I needed. I didn't need to have a conversation, and I don't want to have a conversation because I had to healing without a conversation because, like I said, the action provided everything that I needed. I didn't need a conversation, and I don't want one. And moving forward with my life, moving forward to the fact that finding, like I said, purpose even in the pain, and just finding that closure and acceptance for and realizing it is what it is. But you know what? Even though it is what it is, I can still find purpose in it and I can help someone who's going through the exact same thing and being a source of a potential out for um, someone that is, like I said, going through the exact same thing. But I don't know, it's just very important to just turn the pain into purpose. That understanding why is a trauma response because you're trying to make sense of what happened. But what happens if you cannot make sense of it? Okay, what are you going to do with these cards now? If you can't make sense of it, are you going to continue to hold on to it for the rest of your life? Or are you going to, you know, heal even without closure and realize there's a learning lesson even in that, or that it can teach you something, can help you help yourself and help you help someone else too. So yeah. And eventually I want to, talk about this too. Rumination is something how to get rid of rumination, how to get rid of that. Your mind replays what the heart can't forget, how to get rid of that. Because that'll trauma response too. That'll have you just in a circle. And how to get rid of that so that you can even move on with your life there too. That's a topic I'll eventually talk about. But I hope everyone has a fantastic day. I hope everyone had a fantastic day today. I hope you have a fantastic day tomorrow. I mean, like I always say, every day that you wake up is a good day because you could, last night could have been your last day on this earth. So you having a good day if you waking up every morning. But hope everyone, like I said, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next time.